Welcome back to the Central Lyon podcast. I am Andrew Denola, and I am joined by Ben Van Hartson, Thomas Skidmore, and Joe Tilstra. We are here today with our special guest, Mr. Allen. Thank you for being on the show, Mr. Allen.
Thank you for having me.
First question is, I guess, what were the differences in high school your days and high school today?
I think the main difference between when I went to high school and what students face today is just the students are just so much more busy. I hear reports of people during the summer starting out at 6 a.m. in the morning, and if they're out for baseball, they might not even get back home until, after 9 o'clock that night. So I think you guys are definitely more busy. Your schedules are full, and I applaud the way Central Lyon students handle all that extra activity.
What would you say are some of the biggest differences how technology has influenced education today versus where it was almost limited when you were in high school?
Oh, it's definitely leaps and bounds different. I remember working on term papers in high school, and then we would go print them out, and if you had one word typed wrong, then you had to reprint the entire page. We did have computers, if you can call them computers at that point. But yeah, it's definitely helped in my room, especially just because we utilize the internet for research. It's proved to be a huge advantage, and I think we're only going to see that continue as we go in the future.
So let's talk about you. After you got done with high school, what did you do?
Well, I went to college, but I actually did not finish my four-year degree the first time I was in college. I dropped out, and I tried just about every sales job under the sun before realizing that I was a terrible salesman. I was lucky enough during one of those sales jobs where I was actually trying to sell advertising on a country radio station to meet my now wife, and she's the one that convinced me that it wasn't too late to go back and finish my degree. And so I went back and finished my degree, and I've been teaching now. I believe this is my 14th year.
Where did you go to college?
First year I went to Simpson when I thought I could play some basketball at the collegiate level. They said that I was a step too slow. I think I was just 5 inches too short, so whichever way you want to look at that. But then I transferred to Iowa State and did not finish at Iowa State. I guess my degree comes from Morningside College out of Sioux City. So that's where I went when I went back.
You're involved in a couple of clubs here at Central Lyon. You want to talk about Robotics Club?
Yeah, I guess the Robotics Club, we've probably been doing that for 5 or 6 years now. And it was something that I was really nervous to get started, because I know nothing about building a robot. I know nothing about coding. I don't know anything about that type of thing. But one of the neat things is once we got the program started, I realized I didn't have to know about those types of things. Basically, I just have to be there to keep the door open and make sure I lock the door when everyone's done. Obviously my opinion's biased, but I'm a huge fan of the robotics program because 90% of the kids that walk into my classroom are probably not going to go on to major in some sort of science. I get that. In fact, 10% might be high. I don't know. I've never figured out the actual number. But one thing that 100% of the kids are going to have to do when they leave Central Lyon is they are going to have to know how to think and think their way through and problem solve. And to me, that is the essence of robotics right there. You take an impossible task and you put your heads together and you try to come up with a solution. And so to me, that's one of the biggest benefits I see coming out of it.
Was it last year that you guys made it all the way down to Iowa City, was it?
Yeah, last year we've made it down to the state meet, I believe, 3 times since we started. And last year we did make it to the state meet in Iowa City. The state meet, I believe, takes the top 48 robots from the state. And it's based on other things besides just the robot. But yeah, last year was we did make it down to Des Moines. Next year, we've already got some ideas in place with some of the underclassmen that are sticking around. They think they got some things figured out, and we're hoping to make a return to Iowa City again next year.
Can you kind of explain like what the robot has to do?
That depends on the game each year. This year, we had to pick up a bunch of little 2-inch by 2-inch blocks and roughly 2-inch wiffle ball sized balls, and then we had to deposit them in a Mars rover of sorts. And we had to get over top of barriers in order to pick these obstacles up. There's always an autonomous component to the robotics as well, which is where people like Ben would actually program the robot to do something without our human control. And so they might have to pick out a yellow block or a white ball or something else similar and try to knock that off of its pedestal without disrupting any of the other game elements. And so it's not really half and half, but there's an autonomous portion to it, along with some driver-controlled portion as well. And then I guess this year in the end game too, we had to drive up to the rover in the middle, and we had to actually latch onto a hook and try to raise our robot at least 4 inches off the ground. So,
How did the robotics team do this year?
the robotics team did very well this year. They implemented a new tournament this year. We competed in our league championship and qualified for what they called now the Super Qualifier. And then we went to the Super Qualifier and had a couple of things gone different. We could have been one of the robots to qualify for the state meet. I think I had it calculated at one time that if we had scored 2 more points in one of our matches, then we would have been one of the top robots and we could have gone on to the state meet. So they were very, very close to qualifying for state again this year.
So every year the kids in physics do some sort of project. Can you give some insight on what they did this year in the competition?
Well, yeah, we try to do a couple of different things in physics every year. This year we could not go to the Rube Goldberg competition that we usually compete at up at Mankato State because we had schedule conflicts. So this year we did a windmill challenge instead, where the students had to build a windmill and then we actually put it in a wind tunnel and tested it to see how much electricity we could generate with our designs. We actually got snowed out that day, and so we couldn't actually compete at the 185th Refueling Wing in Sioux City. But our Jordan Menning, our AEA consultant, was nice enough to bring the wind tunnel to Central Lyon and let us test out. I think the first one, Mr. DeNoble might know something about this. I think the first one that tested that morning actually placed higher than any of the actual windmills at the 185th Refueling Wing. And then I think a couple other windmills that same day actually tested higher as well. But I think we would have done well had we made the competition. And then every year, NCC in Sheldon always puts out a engineering design contest that we like to attend because NCC does just a fabulous job of taking care of the kids during that day. And the goal there is we had to build a catapult type machine. This year we chose a trebuchet design, and we had to throw an egg for accuracy from either 60, 90, or 120 feet, and then we also had to throw it for distance. And then there's also a problem-solving competition that they hold as well. This year they had to build an egg drop device, and then they took Devin Miller 30 feet up in a boom truck, and he had to drop the egg for both accuracy, and then the egg had to land or survive the drop as well. And I'm proud to say our Central Lyon physics students this year actually placed second in the problem-solving competition.
So what is the biggest thing you want kids to take away from your classes?
I hope that they gain some sort of an understanding of what it takes to succeed at the next level. I feel like one of my job descriptions is college prep. I'm not saying every student needs to go to college, needs to go to a 4-year college, needs to go to a 2-year college, but I hope when they leave Central Lyon they at least have that option. And so I try to prepare them the best I can based on my personal experiences and based on what I hear from former Central Lyon students to make sure that they have the skills and the confidence to succeed at the next level. Because let's face it, college is not getting any cheaper. And so if we're going to go there, we want to get the best bang for our buck.
All right, well, we got you here. I got to ask you about the Cowboys' upcoming season.
I don't know. I hope they go 15-1 or 1-15. I hate this 8-8 stuff where they get stuck at the end of the draft or closer to the end of the draft. From what I read, it sounds like they had a decent draft this year. I don't know. If not, I would like to go ahead and throw a shameless plug that a couple of Iowa State Cyclones did get drafted into the NFL this year, and so I'll be following some individual players as well as the Dallas Cowboys.
So speaking of Iowa State versus Iowa predictions for this year.
Is this for the football game?
Football and basketball.
Okay, so football probably somewhere around 99-2 Iowa State. Basketball 154-29 Iowa State.
Wow.
Book it.
All right.
Those scores are good.
So, trying to get to out of the school and into personal life, what are some of your hobbies to do?
Oh, I like to I like to read. I like to hunt, fish, and trap. Although I think the older I get, I like to talk about hunting, fishing, and trapping more than I actually go. But I do like to be in the outdoors. It provides a reset for me. So yeah, I guess those would be my four main hobbies, other than spending time with. I've got a sixth grader and a second grade boy, Aiden and Jake, and so spend some time with them. Aiden's just starting to get into the hunting a little bit this year. He actually got his first turkey tag this year, and so we got to go turkey hunting a few times. And Jake is just a sports nut. So, in fact, he just broke a window in our garage with hitting a baseball way too hard on Friday evening. So I've got that as a summer project coming up as well.
What would you say your favorite thing at Central Lyon is?
I think it's the sense of family. I don't know if you guys are able to appreciate this yet, but my wife and I get up every morning and we jump in the car with our two boys and we all go spend the entire day together. Aiden and Jake go to school at Central Lyon. My wife and I both work here, and I mean, that's priceless if you ask me. The district is great about providing a family atmosphere, and I almost feel like the students, even at least at the high school level, it's kind of like one big family where everyone really gets along. We rarely have to hear about disagreements amongst the students in the student body. So it's a happy place to go to work every day, and it's the fulfillment that you get being a part of an organization that you are very proud of. I don't even know if I can put that into words.
So, do you have any upcoming advice for the seniors that are graduating here soon?
For this particular senior class?
Yes, for this.
Yeah. I say just keep going, doing what you're doing. Do you have your career figured out? Maybe not. Are you still going back and forth on what your major should be at the next level? Maybe not. I thought I had everything figured out when I turned 18. I thought I had the world figured out, and it turns out I was wrong. And so I made some decisions along the way that changed my life path, quite a bit. So be confident. Trust in the skills that you got from the Central Lyon staff, because we've got one of the greatest staffs here that I've ever worked with. And just go out and do good things. And if you go out and do good things and ask for advice if you need it, then you're going to be fine.
I'm sure everyone's wondering, since you're a science teacher, what is the craziest experiment that you have done?
Intended or unintended? I guess some of the craziest things I've done is I've always been fascinated with yeah, should I talk about it? Yeah. Yeah, rocketry, NASA, you guys know I'm interested in NASA and stuff like that. So yes, I have one time accidentally shot a rocket engine off in my classroom, but no one was hurt. No one was hurt, and I only burned 2 small holes in my shirt. So science to me is just about experimenting. And it's about, learning more and understanding the natural world. And so I always joke around with my wife. I'm good for about one stupid thing every 6 months, and then I kind of figure out that I got to kind of dial it in and start really being more responsible and watching what I'm doing. But yeah, so that's probably the most fascinating and the scariest science experiment that I've unintendedly performed in the last year or so.
Do you still have the shirt?
No, the shirt actually was a total loss, and the sad thing about that is it was a gift from my wife, and that was the first time that I had ever worn the shirt. And so the first time I wore it, burned 2 holes in it. And so, oh well.
All right, to finish up here, we've got some this or that or would you rather questions for you. Dogs or cats?
Dogs,
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube,
Phone call or text?
text.
Toast or eggs?
Oh, tough. Eggs.
Cardio or weights?
None of the above.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter,
Ice cream cone or snow cone?
ice cream cone.
Mobile games or console games?
Mobile,
All right, while walking, music or podcast?
podcast,
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Form or function?
Function.
All right. So I think that's got to be all we have for today. So for the next guest, here is the clue. This individual won a championship in 2006.